There's only one other tool you might need for this project, and that's a chainsaw. Good morning, Matthew here from the Piney Woods Homestead. Today we're switching gears, not going to be working on hog fence, we're going to be working on a new project, a chicken coop. And we're going to show you how to take this and some of this and turn it into some of this. So guys, this is an old chicken coop that we built several years ago out of some leftover scrap materials that we had up in our barn. It's a pressure treated frame. It has cattle panels on it in the style of a hoop and some inexpensive tarps. What we did is we drug this thing around on grass for several years while we raised our broiler chickens. And while it worked great, it was extremely heavy. We could put upwards of 35 birds into this one coop, move them every day, every couple of days, keep them on clean grass, and we would raise out broiler chickens in about 9 weeks in this coop. The only problem is it was just so heavy. So we've decided to repurpose this coop. It's going to get a facelift. It's going to get a brand new tarp. It's going to get an underlayment on the floor that's going to turn into some really rich composted amendment that we can put into not only our in-ground gardens, but our raised beds. So here's you a simple interior view of this structure. You'll notice there is no floor. It's sitting on dirt. And you'll also notice that we had about 2 inches of rain last night, and it's a little bit wet on the inside of the shelter. What we're going to do today is we're going to take slabs, pine slabs that are left over from milling lumber on our sawmill, and we will layer the bottom of this coop with those slabs. On top of that, we will put a layer of shavings. We'll also mix in some either wood ash burnt from my wife's wood stove in her shop, as well as diatomaceous earth as needed. The chickens, they will scratch around, they will help to decompose this material that will be in here that's also serving a purpose to keep them dry and warm for the next 3 years until we turn our flock over. One of the byproducts of having a sawmill is you have all these cutoffs or slabs, and you got to find something to do with them. Now, pine doesn't burn so good in a wood stove. It'll burn hot, but it'll leave some creosote behind. It takes more cleaning. What we like to do is find other uses for them, and creating some organic potting soil is the way to go with it. So we'll load up a bunch of it. And what I want is the cutoffs that are rounded on one side or have some bark remaining, and you'll see why in a few minutes. I'm just hoping I don't run into no copperhead down here in this wood, because them things will lay hurting on you. Okay, I think that's going to be enough for the project that we have today. Now let's grab a few more tools that we're going to need. Now when you're traveling with a heavy load on your forks or a bucket full of dirt, you want to make sure that you carry that load low to the ground. Keep your center of gravity low so that if you hit a dip, you're not flipping your tractor over. I just see so many people carrying it high in the air, and I've seen too many accidents from doing construction for many years. So keep it low, and we'll get on up here and get started on this floor. Now we're going to take these slabs inside and we're going to lay them down with the flat side towards the dirt. And the reason we're going to do that is we want the chickens to be able to work on this bark and keep flaking this bark off the more that they scratch. And that bark is what's going to turn in to your compost. So you can see what I'm doing here. The slabs are going down flat on the bottom, half moon on the top. Chicken going to come through here and scratch on this bark and keep knocking it off. Let me keep on layering this and I'll show you the next step. Now it's time for a little chainsaw. Keep these cut-offs, that's going to help fill in the cracks. Now here's your little inside look of the floor completed. Notice that the half moons of the boards are facing up. Now there are a couple pieces of cedar in here as well. I put those on the edges. When I say cedar, I mean eastern red cedar. It's actually juniper. But it has some qualities of repelling bugs. Now there will be some bugs that get into here. That's why we're going to not only layer it with wood chips and diatomaceous earth, but we're also going to scatter some of our wood shavings from my wife's shop stove. And what those wood shavings are going to do are a couple of things. They're going to help raise the pH of the soil as it's being built, as well as it's going to do the same thing as diatomaceous earth on the chickens. It's going to protect them from mites. Now your next step is to take these pine shavings and dump them out. We'll take a rake and spread them all out evenly over the floor. And one thing in shavings, they go a whole lot further than you realize it will. And let's grab us a rake. Now this here coop's about 8 by 12, or 9 by 12. Don't think you need to spread 6 inches of shavings down in the bottom of this coop. Your chickens don't need a pillow top mattress like our 40-year-old backs. What you want to do is you want to start with a small layer. Let that layer become absorbed from the chicken poop and any rainwater that seeps through. Remember, you've got those slabs down, it's going to keep that rainwater from piling up in there. You've got a little bit of a barrier. It's still going to get damp. That's the nature of it. Don't worry about that. What you want to do is when it's completely absorbed, spread another small layer on top. And as you're doing that, layer in some wood ash if you have it. Don't go crazy with it, but layer in a little bit of that and layer in some diatomaceous earth. Both of those things are going to be good for your chickens, and they're going to be good for the compost that you're building. Now let's talk for a second about predator control. Because if you live back in the woods like we do, you're going to have raccoons and you're going to have possums. And you're going to have some foxes from time to time. If you'll notice, this coop has a double layer of chicken wire all the way around it. At the back side, there's also a predator apron. It's about 1.5 feet long. It really didn't show up in the video good, but it's underneath where that tire's sitting. That's a good barrier. We've never had a predator get into our coops because we treat them like Fort Knox. Some people are fine with getting away with no type of predator apron whatsoever, but we have found back here in the woods, on a creek bottom, lots of wildlife, predators especially, you need a decent predator apron. Now, along the bottom, if you have a few gaps, don't worry about that, because two things are going to keep that predator from getting in. The slab on the inside, they ain't gonna be able to dig up through it. If you're really worried about it, go along, put you another predator apron out around the bottom, or stack you some other slabs around the outside. Now that we got everything in there, we're going to take some of this wood ash from my wife's wood stove in her shop, and we're going to spread a thin layer on the inside. And I'd recommend wearing a mask when you're doing that. Keep it up out of your head. Notice I didn't. The next thing I've got here is diatomaceous earth. The main reason that we put this inside of the coop is to prevent mites from getting up under the feathers of our chickens and agitating them. So take it in with the bottle that comes with the bag. Most of them come with it. And fog it around on the inside. And guys, it doesn't take a whole lot of that stuff. It works pretty good. And right there you have your finished product. Everything's been mixed in. There's a nice thin layer of wood chips on top of those slabs. It's going to keep your chickens dry. And as this material begins to dampen and it begins to break down, the more that you continue to add to it, and just add to it as needed, you can begin to pull material out and add on to your compost pile that you have out beside of your garden. And keep working it into it. And before you know it, you'll have some good amendment to put into your vegetables. So guys, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today at the Piney Woods Homestead. I hope I've showed you something that you find is beneficial. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're putting out videos every week to show you how we do it here at the Piney Woods Homestead, down here in the heart of the Uwharrie Mountains. We love it out here, we love living this way, and we hope that we can help you live this way too. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.